What if you found a portal to a parallel universe? What if you could slide into 1,000 different worlds? Where it's the same year, and you're the same person, but everything else is different? And what if you can't find your way home?
Hey everyone, welcome back to Fandom Entanglement, and we are talking about Sliders Season 3, Episode 6 or 7th in production order, Desert Storm. I am Damon Sugameli, and this is my co-host, Mike Bloxam.
Hello everybody!
And joining us, we have a very special guest. He is one of the co-hosts of the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast, and not only is he also a personal friend, but he's also my boss. So hopefully he won't fire me for this episode, because I'm the one that asked him to do it. Wayne, yeah, Mr. Wayne McCarty.
I'm honored to be here, man.
Yeah,
Thank
Wayne
you so
McCarty.
much. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah. All right, Wayne.
These are always so exciting. I was telling Damon and I have been talking about this for a while, and yeah, you know, I'm a fan of fandom, and I will say Damon and I've had some long conversations at work about your show and what you all do. So I'm honored to be here. It's really exciting.
Well, I'm honored to have you, Wayne. So let everybody know what your podcast is about. You don't mind.
Yeah, so the show is called Florida Men, plural, on Florida Man, singular. We came up with the name 7 years ago, whenever we thought no one would ever listen to it. And like most things Florida, it became a monster in and of itself and kind of took off. And so we started back in 2016 just with the idea that we would cover Florida news, tell some Florida stories and some Florida history, and maybe, join in with the laughter a little bit, but also give folks who are from Florida, a reason to be proud of their state. And so we try really hard just to cover Florida news from a positive spin, but also acknowledging that we are the craziest state in the union. And so it's no secret. The show writes itself. It's low hanging fruit, and it's a ton of fun. We release every Thursday morning, and we haven't missed a Thursday in 7 years. So a lot of fun.
Wow.
Very nice.
Yeah, I think one of the more recent, as of the recording, I think this was even like maybe a month ago or so, but Ahmad had brought up something about scuba heist. Yes. And I was like, I think I saw that description in one of your things. I was starting to listen to it. I was like, yeah, like just like one of the examples of like one of the weird things that happens.
Yeah, a gentleman used scuba gear to get onto a floating restaurant, and then he took 2 employees hostage, robbed the place, and then scuba dove off the back. And that was a normal Tuesday afternoon in Florida. That wasn't even that remarkable. It was funny as people oftentimes, I would say the most frequent listener mail and DMs that we get are is this real? What you're saying, is it true? Is this actual news? And I got to say, I say the same thing when our team brings us headlines like that. I'm always like, "You sure this is real?" And then we verify it from a few different sources, and then go, "Okay, well, I guess we're gonna talk about it this week." So that one was fun. The scuba heist was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I know that was a couple of episodes ago, but yeah, it's pretty funny. You guys gotta check it out. All right, so Wayne, so your history with Sliders, you have a different perspective on it, I think, from us geeks, me and Mike.
Well, I've never seen an episode until agreeing to do the show, and so I have an outside perspective. I know what the show is, just from cultural osmosis, but I've never sat down and I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but I enjoyed what I saw, and so I enjoyed the episode that was chosen for me. So I will say that.
Okay. Me and Mike might have a different opinion based on what based on what has already happened on the show. So, I didn't know that you hadn't seen a single episode. I thought it was like just you kind of saw it here and there, but didn't really have a lot of
Yeah,
remote
it
areas.
may have been on in the background, I think,
Yeah.
at some point in time. I was lucky enough to be raised in a house, with my mom who was a sci-fi fan, and so she trained me in the ways in which I should go. But this was just sliders is a blind spot for me. So like I said, don't want to get ahead of myself, but I had fun.
Okay. Well, this will be interesting
Great.
then. All right. So you saw the credits. You know how they do slider. They do the whisper. Do you have your best
They do
slider?
the whisper, yeah.
Yeah. You have your best one, Wayne?
I got my best one.
Okay.
Here's my thing though. Can I just pause for a second on this one?
Sure.
I don't know exactly um you know how you all cover sliders in the past. But my wife watched it with me, and she goes, you got to make sure that they aren't like massive fans of this show before you go on there and roast it, because what if sliders is like their thing, And then we watched it and I kind of enjoyed it. So I was like, okay, well, I don't know. I mean, but yeah, I got to go with my main guy. You know, I no, but I mean, maybe move ahead with your alls first. I mean, what are you looking for here as far as the best whisper? You want an impression, or do you want me to choose the best one?
Just you know how they do like sliders. Like
do yours.
Just
your best.
Just whatever.
Okay,
Yeah.
do my best.
Whisper.
I didn't practice, but here we go.
Wait, I didn't hear it. What?
Yeah, so quiet.
Sliders. That's
all right.
That's the energy.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, you'll hear us say something. The quality of the show is kind of it's. Many Sliders fans will tell you it's like we're. I don't know. We'll get to
it. Yeah. Okay, I'm along for the ride. I'm here. I'm invested.
All right. Okay. I'll start off the rundown with everything. This originally aired November 1st, 1996, and the official synopsis from the DVDs: the Sliders land on a world with little water and come to the aid of a mysterious young woman whose gift to find water is being exploited by a group of thugs. And we have our usual cast: Jerry O'Connell as Quinn, Sabrina Lloyd as Wade, Clevant Derricks as Rembrandt, and John Rhys Davies as Arturo. So I'll let you get into it with the guest stars, Mike.
Sure. So we had guest stars, Gina Phillips as Devin. She has a Trek connection. She was in a Deep Space Nine episode in the first season, playing Varys Sol, who was a young Bajoran. She also appeared in an episode of 7 Days, as we're on the sci-fi references. And I think I've said this before. I think we should do a rewatch or even a first watch of 7 Days. I liked that show when it was on.
That was good. Yeah.
We've got Christopher Lindquist as Jeremy, and Ken Steadman as Cutter. And on a serious, rather tragic note, he died in a dune buggy accident during the filming of the episode. And that's why they dedicated it to him at the end. And I believe we're going to do the same. We're going to dedicate this podcast recording to Ken Steadman's memory. Specifically from the IMDb, they say he died in an accident involving a dune buggy he was driving while filming this episode on Friday, September 20th, 1996. His passenger, Christopher Malecki, was seriously injured. Ken's role involved driving a dune buggy in the desert near Victorville. The actors and film crew were in their third day of filming, and they were setting up for another action shot. While Ken was transporting the dune buggy between scenes that morning, the vehicle overturned and he was crushed and killed instantly.
Wow.
So very, very sad circumstances. There's I was just going to say there's a link on his IMDb page to a website that his parents made. Kind of to memorialize him and this incident, because I guess Universal MCA were not overly helpful in trying to determine what happened, or really doing much to compensate for his death. So very, very sad thing to have happened, and I didn't know anything about it until the end of the episode when they put up that in memory of scene.
Right.
And you'd have to
So, like,
imagine the morale, on
oh
set
yeah,
after that happens. I
Mhm.
mean, especially that early on in production.
Yeah.
I just wonder too how they managed to complete the episode. Like they must have had all of his scenes already shot.
Yeah, so
Uh,
that's what I was gonna chime in with was I think it was on earthprime.com. It said that there are some scenes where they had to have a stand-in for him.
Oh,
So
wow.
there's I don't know what it was. I was trying to look for it. There's noticeable scenes apparently where it's like the makeup is a little different on him or something.
Mm.
So
mhm.
yeah,
And you would have to do, I mean, considering the time that it was filmed and released, it would have to all be practical, the
hmm
solution, I would assume,
yeah,
for it to pass. But it's unfortunate. I couldn't imagine the shift in just in the atmosphere on set.
yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Just
yeah.
yeah,
I think
an
they had
absolute tragedy.
contemplated not even showing the episode or something, but then they like I
Mm.
guess that's what they worked out.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
Yeah,
we wanted to just make sure we mentioned that. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We also have returning Lester Berry as Elston Diggs. This is what
Mm,
his third
I think
appearance so far this season.
think so. I think it's like
Maybe
third of
fourth. I'm not sure.
I think it's third of six. I think six
Right.
times.
Okay, that sounds about right. Yeah.
Pretty much this season.
Um,
Yeah.
Michael Lee Gogin as the Master Healer. And then we have co-starring Christopher Malecki as Wolf. And as I mentioned, he was the passenger in that tragedy. So after that, he actually took a few years off from acting and went out to see the world. But he did come back to acting, and apparently his biggest television role was 171 episodes of a soap opera called Passions.
I
Oh,
have
wow.
heard of that.
So
Yeah.
I think I've heard of it, but I've never seen an episode. So
Yeah, I was not a soap opera person.
no.
Well, I think they release one a day, so 171 is, half a year's work.
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
in soap opera business, but still impressive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Mhm.
We also have Constance Forsland as Fiona, who was Devin's mother,
Mhm.
and Judson Mills as Davy.
Mhm.
And he was a regular on Walker, Texas Ranger.
Yeah.
He also has a connection to Quantum Leap. He was in the series finale of the revival series in 2020, the 2022 series,
Yeah.
Against Time.
Yeah. He was the father of the race car driver that he leaked into.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I remember thinking when we saw that, I'm like, I feel like I had seen him somewhere, but we didn't mention it. But then I'm like, and then my mother-in-law, she loves watching Walker Texas Ranger. I'm like, oh, that's where he's from.
Yeah.
I think it was in like 2 seasons or something, or the last 2 seasons. I'm not sure.
I feel like a lot of these shows, especially in the 90s, had a lot of crossover appeal
Oh
with
yeah.
other procedurals, and so you'd see somebody and be like, "Oh, I know him from
Oh yeah.
from that show or whatnot,"
Yeah.
which is a lot of fun in the 90s TV.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. This was written by Matt Dearborn and directed by Jim Johnston.
Mm.
And the only world we are visiting is appropriately enough called Desert World, designated by earthprime.com. All right. So we might as well ask what your first impressions of this, Wayne, since you have a different perspective.
Well, yeah, well, at first I'm like, it's giving Waterworld, which is, hey, that's fun. Right away. Not understanding the premise of the show 100% coming into it was actually a lot of fun. Because in a nutshell, though, and I did look this up because I wanted to make sure I wasn't, uh, you know, representing it incorrectly. But I told Sarah, I was like, my wife, I was like, it feels like a standalone. It feels like I dialed into it pretty quickly. The side plot with Arturo's health issues, at times were confusing, but I assume spelled out in previous episodes. But otherwise, I mean, I got it just pretty quickly. It went from Waterworld to Mad Max by the end. But again, I just felt like it was, sci-fi piece for its time. I had a lot of fun watching it. My first impression was, yeah, it's 90s sci-fi. What? I think you have to set the tone for that kind of stuff. For me, anyway, I set the tone. After the first 5 minutes or so, I'm like, okay, we're gonna have fun.
Okay. I mean, okay, I'll just say I wasn't really sure what I was watching. It didn't feel like Sliders. So this is where some context comes into play. That it was really the first 2 seasons, especially, was like more of like real like alternate history. Like, where's a divergent point where history went off track? And this is just kind of like
Sure.
its own thing, like you're saying, Wayne. It also felt a little like two separate stories a little bit.
Mhm.
Like there's the first half and then the second half. Like they used Arturo's illness, which we'll get into in a minute, to kind of fill out the like the 45 minutes that they needed. And yeah, it's like Desert World, but they just happen to be passing through it. It was
Sure.
like it seemed like they're not really like the story wasn't really about them. So
Well, it's like an in transit episode almost, and I will say for me, it didn't feel like the whole kind of the core quad, the core team was even pulled into it until the wrongfully kidnapped situation that happened there. But again, Arturo's illness was for me an outsider. The only thing that felt like it tied in with the rest of what I'm assuming is a connected series.
okay, all right, Mike.
Yeah, I'd say your assessment is pretty fair, Damon. There were no real advancements to our characters. They just seemed to be along for the ride. It felt like, unless you, like we just said, include the B plot for Arturo visiting the witch doctor for his illness. And by my count, this is the second episode of the season to take place in the desert. At least there were no electric twisters this time, but
That was like what, 4? No, 3 episodes back, right? Yeah. Yeah. All right, you have the alternate history, Mike.
Well, the alternate history is
whatever hell the history was.
Water became very scarce and everything became a desert. But a little backstory would have helped to immerse the viewer in this new world. But we're just kind of dropped in, and like I said, we're along for the ride.
Yeah.
I wonder the context, and I mean, and you all would know, I'm assuming, but when this was released, this was what, 96, so mid 90s. Would there have been context like this? What day of the week would this have come out on? Right, a Friday night.
I think it was Friday night at this point. Yeah.
So like a Friday night episode comes on and it's completely, a standalone energy. Back then, how would you even get word out to the viewers? Like, hey, we're doing a little standalone project here. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure the grumblings had to be pretty loud back then, like having to wait a whole week to go, what was that about? You know what I mean? Like, why are we in the desert and why is water currency?
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, so this is good. Well, we'll just put it into context for you, Wayne. So when the show started, it was co-created by Tracy Torme and Robert K. Weiss. I think it was really Tracy Torme's baby. I think he was like a head writer on Star Trek: The Next Generation in like the late 80s. And then like Gene Roddenberry took him under his wing, so it's like he kind of knew the ins and outs of all this, and he wanted to come up with this concept, and it was like dark humor to really kind of like, it was like the Americanization of like different things, like if Russia ruled America, but they still did like things like we saw like the People's Court, and like he was taken to the People's Court for like some minor infraction or something, and it was like they would have like rap songs playing about like going to the library, right?
Right.
So it was like, and that's what it was. And he always tried to throw in some continuity stuff. And the network was like, this was Fox also. This is the network that showed Firefly out of order.
Sure.
If you remember Firefly? I don't know if you knew anything about Firefly.
I remember people being upset that it ended, early.
Yeah.
13 wonderful episodes.
But this was like, they didn't want there to be like any like who cares if Quinn got shot like a year ago? That's how they ended the season. Nobody's going to remember. Let's just pretend it didn't happen and move on. They wanted it to be standalone all the time, and they fought with the creator.
Sure.
And at this point, Tracy Torme is still on the show, but like not really. Like his involvement is getting thin. And then they moved the location to it originally shot in Vancouver, and they moved it to Los Angeles because they wanted to keep a closer eye on the show. And they just literally were like watching movies and like, yeah, let's rip off this movie this week and let's do this one. So that's where we are. We're starting to get to that point now.
Yeah.
It
I like
gets worse.
Waterworld. I like Dune. I like Mad Max.
Yeah.
What can we do with this?
Right. So that's kind of where we are. We're starting to
Okay.
get to that point. We have some good ones still, but like it's gonna get worse. So
Well, my wife, who's just she's a saint, and anytime Arturo would come on screen, onto the screen, it was just like, oh, I hope he gets better, and I'm like, yeah, me too. I don't know what's wrong with him.
to be fair, we don't know what's wrong with him. It was so. I mean, that's a good segue into that's like the first thing that gets brought up because it's surprising that they bring this up because we all know how much the show loves ignoring continuity, Mike.
Yes. Well, I mean, Tracy Torme wanted continuity. It was Fox that wasn't interested in such things. But, I was pleasantly surprised that there was a reference to the professor's terminal illness and, confirmed that Quinn hasn't let it slip to Wayne Rembrandt yet. But we don't know what the illness is. We just know that it's apparently in his head.
Yeah.
That's what they said, that it was in his head when it was.
But then he holds his heart at one point in time, though. Like,
right. I think this is a goof.
Yeah, because I'm like, maybe it's spread. Whatever it is, it's.
Yeah. So it was literally 2 episodes back, like one of the best episodes of the whole series, The Guardian, and it opens with Arturo getting a CAT scan. And then Quinn is like, he's like, well, we've got the message from your doctor. And he's like, I have a terminal illness. Never said what it was. And his pride, of course, he's like, I want to get left behind. And they're like, no, you're going to come with us and all this stuff. So they agreed not to say anything to Wade and Rembrandt. So, and this isn't really going to get brought up again. Like, it gets brought up again, like, ironically, like after Arturo dies.
Yeah. Maybe going to a desert planet was on his bucket list. That was his. He was a part of it.
Yeah. All right. So we see, Diggs is back in a much more substantial role than we've seen him so far. They introduced him in Double Cross, right, Mike? I think.
Yes,
I think that
that's
was
right. Yep.
So he's supposed to be our new recurring character. It was like, at whenever they stay at a hotel, that's where they're staying. So this is like actually a nice continuity nod that apparently in the scripts always call his bar the Last Chance Bar, and here it's called the Last Chance Cantina.
Okay.
So a nice little nod. It's again really continuity. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I liked how he offered them water, brown or clear.
Oh, right. Okay.
But only if they had any useful items to trade. But apparently things that run on batteries aren't of any use. I found that interesting because Quinn offered him his watch.
Right.
He's like, oh, that runs on batteries. I can't use that.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't you use the batteries to power something else? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I mean, a watch battery won't power very much, but 100 watch batteries might add up to something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just spitballing.
Yeah, I know. And then we always say too, it's like we're always worrying about like, oh, do we have enough money or whatever? And I'm like, money shouldn't always work the same from one world to the next. So we're really seeing that in action here. Like, oh yeah, your money's no good here.
Yeah.
Now, is Arturo always kind of the I don't want to say moral compass, but he kind of makes a comment, if I'm not mistaken, about understanding where they are in their customs or something along those lines before they kind of do too much. Is that like a normal point for his character to do that?
Yeah, he was usually the non-interference advocate.
Yeah, that was that was the next point I was going to make, was that actually, like, I appreciate that he says, like, oh, well, we shouldn't get involved until we know more, because especially Wade is always like, well, let's get involved. They tried to agree really early on that we're not going to get involved and stuff, but that never happens.
Right.
Because plot, because we have to do something to be in danger or something. Yeah, and then Wade is like, because they think she's being sold as a slave or something, and she's like, well, it's wrong on any world. And like, yeah, I get what you're saying, but no, it's not wrong on every world, because every world has their own set of morals as well. It's You think at this point they would have learned that?
Yeah, as a result of thinking she's a slave, they rush in to try to rescue her. And I found that cinematography for the knife fight with Jeremy was an interesting choice. I found it hard to watch.
I don't remember. Was there a lot of shaking going on or
There was a
something?
lot of just like kind of zooming in and zooming out, and back
Okay.
and forth, and they were ducking behind the pillars, but the cameras were just all over the place. I was getting dizzy.
Okay. And this is before like J.J. Abrams did that with like shaking everything around and lens flare and all that stuff.
Before they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
Right. Before they did it on purpose. Yeah, I should say again, as usual, I've only gotten to watch this episode once, so and I was like, I should try to watch it again, but I didn't want to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as someone that didn't really know what to expect, they when they kind of split up on the rescue mission, and it kind of felt like they were trying to go a little deep a bit with Arturo seeming to struggle with magic and faith and whatnot. You know what I mean? It was just like I was like, I don't know how deep they're gonna go here, but
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Arturo is usually the skeptic when it comes to all that stuff because he's very
Yeah.
Well, he says it too. He's like, "Well, I'm a realist."
Right.
That's where his head is most of the time, which is well, I'll get back to that, but
Yeah.
I was questioning sort of the intelligence of the guest characters.
Mhm.
Cutter is only just realizing now that Devin is one of the water people
Oh, right, yeah.
after he kind of sees the crystal, but despite the fact that like he abducted her from what I think most people knew where Atlantis was.
Mhm.
So, and why did he abduct her? Like, did he know this little 5-year-old girl was a so-called water witch, but that he's been calling her that for 12 years?
That's a good point.
There was a very inconsistent kind of I guess perspective on what he thought Devin was here. And then I thought, how could Diggs so easily give up that crystal that he traded away a whole truck for? Like he gave that truck to the Sliders in exchange for the crystal. I expect he would have driven a harder bargain with Cutter on just like he just ended up handing it over to him as if he was afraid of Cutter and his crew. But
Yeah.
it also seems like Diggs has a really solid stranglehold on the water supply here, so
Mhm.
I don't think you want to be messing with Diggs either. It just seemed a bit too contrived, I guess, that he would just hand the crystal over at a little, it seemed like a small threat of violence.
Mhm. Yeah. That is a good point though, like because he knows that Devin they have her because she can find the water, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Right.
who else has that ability on this earth but like people who well like I don't know, I guess they didn't quite know what her lineage was or yeah
Either really good luck or really bad writing. Maybe a touch of
maybe both.
touch of two, a touch of both.
Yeah. And then it was a little he Jeremy came back and I'm like I kind of knew like I hadn't seen it since the last time I watched it with Amada, but it was like I kind of knew he got Wade instead of Devin because how else were we going to get them involved in this plot? Because like oh he's obviously. I also didn't he realize that she was with them though? Like didn't he met all of them beforehand? So didn't he like why didn't he make sure that was her before he grabbed her? Like I felt like that was something that he should have made sure. He just assumed
Yeah.
that was Devin.
Yeah. Assumed she was the only woman.
Yeah, it did seem a bit odd. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think you're right, though. I think, yeah, it just, maybe a bit lazy to, but still what they had to do to pull the rest of the team into the plot. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
how else are they going to get involved?
Yeah. I didn't have this in the notes, but I did like her line about she's like, "Oh, you're a guy that really did run out of gas."
Yeah. that was
like,
good.
What? Like what do you mean? I had no idea. Is this when he tells her that Cutter killed her father or something? So that's why they got to or did he tell that was he telling that to Wade? Right? I don't remember. Some of this was mixing up in my head.
Yeah, it's been about a week since I've watched it, and I didn't get a chance to rewatch either. So
Well, because I had a question. If they say that, because they were showing the flashbacks too, and all this other stuff, which is where I said earlier, like this felt like I was watching somebody else's story because they were focused so much on these flashbacks and like, oh, this is going on. But how much older was Cutter than Devin? I didn't feel like he's that much older than her, but like, when did he kill her father? Wasn't she like really young?
Right.
So I don't know if this was just another
no,
inconsistency or what. I don't know.
I wonder that too, unless he just hasn't aged much in 12 years. Like Ken Stedman,
he's
the
going to
actor.
drink water every day.
Yeah, right. Ken Stedman, the actor, was 27 at the time of filming.
Okay.
So I guess potentially he could have been 15, but I don't know. He didn't look like a 15-year-old in that attack.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, when did this happen? Like, it just like.
Yeah. Well, they said it's been 12 years, but I also thought that actor portraying Devin as a child looked way older than 5 years old.
Right.
That looked like a 12 or 13-year-old. Like, it was. Yeah.
Again, just another example of that. I don't know if they were even trying. I saw it come up on Earth Prime too. It's like, where was their budget going with a lot of this stuff? Because they had a bigger budget this season, but it seems like where was it going? Because some of these guest actors too are like, I'm not necessarily saying anything about this episode, but like it just sometimes they're not. Sometimes it seems like everybody's phoning it in. Right.
I wonder what other shows that were similar or in the same vein were doing really well at the time, because I remember we covered a while back on our show. There was a time where Baywatch tried to do Baywatch Nights, and the only reason why the studio threw a ton of money, it was a terrible show, but they threw a ton of money at it because they wanted to try and ride the coattails of the X-Files. And so it was a deliberate decision. The show never got better, but they threw a ton of money at it. So it could have been similar here, where they were just like, hey, here's a bigger budget, keep pace with whatever show's happening right now. And then what they got was, a hodgepodge of, misunderstanding.
This was definitely going on when X-Files was going on, I think,
Right,
pretty early
yeah.
on. So
Right. On the topic of the flashback, I really had to laugh afterwards, though, because one of the sliders says, "What happened to her?" "Flashback," says Jeremy, in the most fourth wall breaking exposition I think I've ever seen in this series.
I didn't remember.
I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard when he just said flashback.
I honestly didn't even remember that. Now thinking, I'm like, that's right, because she was like zoning out or something, right? So
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
There's a
yeah.
lot of expository dialogue, but honestly, coming in and not knowing anything, I'm like, what they do?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just what they do. I'm here for it. As someone that doesn't know anything, I kind of appreciated it. I'm like, tell me more. That's a ton of fun.
Well, we're on the topic of Jeremy. I think he must have had a nice stash of hair gel somewhere, much like Corey Feldman's character did in the last desert-oriented episode, because he had that perfect 90s kind of slick back, spiky hair,
yeah,
the whole time. Walking out in the desert with his shirt off, hair's perfect. These are just this is the fun we have, Wayne. We just poke holes at the bad episodes and
I know.
and revere the good episodes. So
I wonder how much, though, because it's a lot of the shows that I enjoy at the time. I don't know if they were received very well, but then you kind of rewatch it later on, and it's just it's camp. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of maybe a little extra substance partaken before watching it enhances the experience, but. It's but that's the energy I got from it. It's a bit over the top, but I was like, I don't know, man. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's why I was saying, like the first two seasons, it's like most Sliders fans most fans will tell you, it's like it was really on its game those first two seasons. The first season especially, because it was like it started as one of those like mid-season replacements back when they actually did that on TV, when they had like a full season running from September to Hey kids, that's what they used to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember the day.
Our kids gonna be like, "What are you guys talking about? We have no idea what that means."
What do you mean they didn't dump 30 episodes in one day?
And they had longer seasons. But yeah, the
Yeah.
first season was like basically the first 2 seasons are like kind of one full season because they're both half
Okay.
seasons.
Yeah.
And that's when they finally renewed it for this full season. Like, oh, that's great. And then where the quality really drops. So it's like, and they go through cast changes and stuff. And by the time we get to the end, it's like we'll be lucky if we have people even wanting to watch when we get to the final season. We're gonna try.
Yeah.
We'll try our best. Okay, what else, Mike? You had something else.
Well, we talked about this already. We don't get the how and why or
Right.
when the water disappeared. And I brought this up a few times. They keep saying it's been 12 years since Cutter abducted Devin, but gasoline is still readily available.
Right.
How are they refining and the crude oil into gasoline to power all these dune buggies and vehicles that are driving through the desert? That involves water.
Yeah.
I believe I'm not a specialist in oil refinery, but I'm pretty sure it takes a substantial amount of water to turn oil into gasoline or process the gasoline.
And not to mention, if it's already processed, it has to be, kept in a way where it's going to be useless by the time you actually get to use it. So,
Yeah,
Right.
but again, separate planet, separate rules. You know what I mean? I mean, who knows what's going on there? So they wrote it off.
Yeah.
That's just where a line of dialogue or something would help.
But we got
would help
45
rescue
minutes.
this script.
But we got 45 minutes, so it's like, again, we're dealing with people who are like, who cares? Just get it. That's another thing is Wayne is like we got into more action oriented stuff.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it was like, not so much in the first seasons, but like they just wanted like action stuff. Let's rip off what movies, what's popular at the time.
Well, and I think, again, it's not that hard to kind of understand that when you realize, looking back in retrospect, I think how many shows and movies have been ruined by the suits getting involved and just going, forget the script, forget the continuity. You know what I mean? Make it like this. Give us an explosion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and again, I don't have anything to compare it to as far as other episodes. I did find it interesting where, Arturo had some issues with, he did strike me as the person that struggles with, the balance between like magic and faith and logic and reason. Like he's torn between Athens and Jerusalem constantly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I found that character interesting only because that was the one for me that felt like something else came along with him into the episode, that being his illness. Enough so for him to break off from the chase to go and find a solution to whatever's going on with him. I found myself kind of invested because I was just like, well, this seems to carry over. There's more weight to this than them nabbing the wrong girl. You know what I mean? Apparently.
Right.
So, but I found that kind of fascinating.
Yeah. So that's a good segue into where we're at with with Arturo now. This is what I was like, let me get this straight. So he has no issue with this water priestess who can apparently communicate telepathically with Wade. He has no issue with that whatsoever, but a faith healer is where he draws the line.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Whoa.
Plus, we've seen it like in Mike, it was in Jillian of the Spirits. Like they literally had like Quinn was trapped on the astral plane and she could talk to, it was basically like she could talk to spirits and he was like questioning that and too, but he saw it firsthand. So it's like, yeah, you have a problem with it with this stuff? After everything we've seen up to this point. But there was literally a world with psychics. Wade. With Wade basically like meeting her soulmate who she met in a previous life. Like
right.
So it just, Amato was actually the one who brought it up. She was watching it with me. And that was like the one thing I'm like, you're right. This is like, why does he have a problem with this?
Yeah, he's seen Stranger Things.
I
Yeah.
know, yeah.
In my head canon, though, it's like the writers are trying to just to throw something against the wall to see if it sticks,
Yeah.
and this actor's just a method acting. He's like, "Nah, I'm gonna do my thing. I know what the script calls for."
I do like that too when he's giving him like he's like eating the stuff. He's like, "This is supposed to help cure what ails me." He's like, "No, these are mints. They're really good."
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
makes them himself. Like
Yeah.
that was Sliders right there. That was
That was
the
good.
Sliders moment.
Yeah. Oh, you know, Damon, what if it's the wrong Arturo? That could explain why he doesn't believe, because he
That's
didn't go to those other places.
That's true. Wayne probably needs some context for that, but this might be the wrong Arturo. We don't know. We'll never know.
Is that a fan theory that perhaps there was a mishap?
There was an episode where there was an episode where they thought they were home because
Okay.
they all slid off of that world, and then they had been building it up that Arturo was like really jealous of Quinn, and he basically said, "I'm the one that invented sliding. I'm going to win the Nobel Prize or whatever."
Mhm.
And he was like kind of betraying them, and they had built this up kind of like the whole season, like that he was envious of his student because he was Quinn's professor at college in San Francisco.
Okay.
So, and then they finally find out because there's like little things. So like it was like the biggest thing they finally realized was the Golden Gate Bridge was blue. It wasn't red. And they're like, this isn't our world. But on this world, our doubles also slid when we did. So everything's almost exactly the same.
Similar enough, yeah.
But they found out that the Arturo of this world at the last minute said, I don't want to get stuck. And so he stayed behind and waited for them to come back. So there were literally two Arturos, and they got into a scuffle at the end right before they all slid. One of them left and one of them stayed behind. So we don't know which one.
It's kind of sci-fi though to be able to go wrong Arturo, man. You know, it's such a fun wrong Arturo. Who knows?
Yeah. There's been some
one.
hints. It's like it could be the wrong one, it could be the right one. We don't really know, and some things have subtly changed with him since then. But another thing is that John Rhys Davies himself was at this point already kind of getting fed up with some stuff on the show. So he was already complaining that the show was becoming too derivative, and like, they're like, oh, these writers, like I could write better stuff than these guys did.
Sure.
So
I'm sure he could.
Yeah.
well, he does later on. We're definitely going to get to that, but what they did to his story. But
Well, and honestly, who knows what the suits did to get involved? But it could have been the equivalent of like sending me on set and being like, "You've never seen the show? Great, write an episode." And okay, sure. You guys like Waterworld?
Yeah, so this is kind of like the last point I'll bring up. It kind of gets into what we were saying with Arturo. Because the Master Healer does this whole thing. It says you will heal. I mean, I guess if you watch this in airdate order, that you think that maybe he did heal him because it never comes up again. It does come up in the episode after he dies because they show that out of order as a flashback. But as anybody who's seen this show knows, the illness has absolutely nothing to do with how he actually dies. So it doesn't matter.
Wild. Because to carry it through the plot in multiple episodes, and then you're like, don't worry about it.
Yeah, when he actually dies, it's like I know this is going to come up. There's going to be so many people talk about this. It's like he got his like, oh, it's like overkill what they did with him because they actually, I think, fired him, and it was like he was very vocal, and it's like, oh, you want to die? Okay, we're going to kill you in the episode that you wrote. So it's like
that's fun.
He's like he's going to die very undignified, like. I don't even want to talk about it. It's
we'll talk about it when we get there.
It pisses so many Sliders fans off, but it's illness has absolutely nothing to do with how he actually dies. So, what else happens in this plot because we're pretty much wrapping this up. So what?
They find the city of Aquarius and return her to her people, and Cutter and his crew trying to get in, and then they collapse the rocks on them and kill them all except Cutter, and then he takes Remen hostage
or something,
and then they somehow talk him out of hurting anybody, and
Yeah.
I-
Well, I know Wade basically like reaches out to her again, like, "Oh, you can talk to her, Wade, because she can hear
Yeah.
you." And then she does this weird whammy or Jedi mind trick or something, and basically like, I don't know what she did to him, but it's like kind of made him a little crazy. Like, "Oh, I remember." I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they like brain fried him or something. That's kind of how it ends. So
Yeah,
just
they
again,
wiped his
very-
memory, returned him to the sand pit, and yeah, we see him trying to find it on the map. It's there. No, it's there. No, 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 no. Yeah,
Sure it is. Sure it
yeah.
is. We're
There,
so
there,
happy.
Cutter. Let's take you back to your rocking chair.
You have anything else to say, Wayne, about it, or just slide
It's
and get
funny
home?
because when Devin kind of stays behind to leader people, and again, I don't have any context, so
Mhm.
sliders go on to save the next world, is what I assume. You know what I mean? I was just
Yeah.
like, I mean, hey, their job is done. So
I guess, yeah.
yeah, that's I just kind of. But I will say I probably had rose-colored glasses on. Um, but it's yeah, but yeah, I thought it was I still thought it was fun. I will say right away, the similarities to other pop culture references around the time, I thought was again pretty relevant, or to the discussion. Not realizing there probably was genuine production conversations behind the scenes that led to that. We want it bigger, better. Probably directly compared it to Waterworld and compared it to Dune and everything else, and try to make a cheaply watered down version of it. But
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, if we have nothing else, I think we've exhausted it, Mike, right?
Yeah.
Well, then we might as well just get into our goofs with the episode. I did sort of mention it before. With the CAT scan was done on Arturo's head in The Guardian, but then we see in this that the faith healer is actually touching his heart. So I don't know if that's a goof or
I just wondered if that could be metaphorical or something, like where he put his hands isn't necessarily where the illness is. He just
perhaps
is kind of putting his hands on the chest, but
maybe.
it's just a
Yeah.
guess. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Perhaps.
But what's a real goof, I guess, is a prop goof.
Mhm.
When Arturo and Rembrandt are hiding behind that giant boulder when the desert gang is coming after them, it
Mhm.
moves very easily as it is made out of foam, but you can see it really rock there at one point when Arturo bumps into it. And then apparently the rocks that Remy is throwing at them also made of foam. You see it come toward the camera and it kind of goes, whoo! It's a bit of a wave. Uh, but that checks because the arrows that the gang are firing at them all struck the hillside and stuck there. Whereas if this was real rock, they would have deflected
Oh
off,
my
right?
God, I was not paying attention. Oh
Yeah, I was
God.
watching it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you said they increased the budget, and yet,
Where did it go?
yeah,
money laundering to some degree, I'm sure. I will say there's an episode of Black Mirror where they reference some older sci-fi shows, and they're stuck in a video game, and in one of the shots there's a boulder that is clearly fake and not even remotely disguised as anything other than paper mache. And to me, it's like a nice little callback to shows like this, where it's just like, okay, that's a styrofoam
Yeah.
piece.
So we mentioned some of the lines. This is like the one line that was actually pretty good for this was when Wade said, "Figures we rescue the biker babe that rides with Mad Max." So like they
yeah,
directly name dropped Mad Max.
Yeah.
yeah. Well done.
Oh, you get it? You get it? Mad Max? Any other lines we remember, or they've been getting fewer like memorable now.
Yeah.
You used to have a lot better lines in this show. Like Arturo used to have a lot of really great lines, and Rembrandt, and not so much anymore. So we do have time for some comments. You want to take Dead Man Sliding, Mike, and then I'll.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So on the Dead Man Sliding comments from Sweet P24 on Reddit said, "Thank you. Oh, you're welcome, Sweet Pea.
She
Thanks for the comment.
Yeah, she actually says it again for the next one too. So I guess she's
Okay,
just saying
alright.
like thank you for. I think she means thank you for doing these and
Alright,
putting this
yeah,
out there.
That's
That's
cool.
probably what
great.
that means. Yeah.
Sir Genevieve,
Surgenev,
what?
2000, I guess.
Sergenev
Someone new.
2000?
Yeah, this is a new commenter now.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry if I pronounced the name wrong.
Yeah.
Internet handles aren't always phonetic.
Right.
I give this episode 8 out of 10 dart guns. I realized the synchronicity. Nipsey Russell played the Tin Man in the Wiz movie next to Michael Jackson, and Lawrence Hilton Jacobs played Joe Jackson in the 1990 TV movie The Jacksons: An American Dream. I also noticed immediately that they were at Universal City Walk in the beginning of the episode. My first job at 16 years old was working at Universal Studios. I know a lot of the filming locations just by walking through the park, especially in the holiday episode that is coming up. Cool. All right. Well, we'll look forward to more comments on that episode too.
Yeah, because Nipsey Russell was when Matt was on, he said that he was one of the alternate casting choices. Nipsey Russell,
Right.
remember? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Pedro Ferreira on Discord said, I have no idea why this episode was aired so late.
Yeah, because this was the episode.
It was like the 10th.
Yeah, it was
10th
like,
episode?
it was like episode number 10 in air date order, but there's like actually a third one that they produced. So
Interesting.
yeah. All right, electric twister acid test. This is Chris, digital artist. Comment again, and he clarified. He said, "Hi, Damon. Yep, that was me to let you know about the YouTube comments turned off, because remember I said he let us know about that. I was like, I think it was."
Yeah.
He says, "Well, I am not sure what I can say about this episode that hasn't already been said. LOL. To be fair, it wasn't like an actual ripoff of Twister plot-wise, but surely they were probably capitalizing on its success.
Yeah.
Overall, this was just cringy. I can imagine how embarrassing this must have been for the actors, especially John Rhys Davies. I don't blame him. I will give it 3 out of 10 Corey Feldman references." Wayne, Corey Feldman was in the episode, so he was a guest star, and it was like a reunion of Stand By Me. So it was like they even did the little skin me handshake in it.
That's cool.
Our friend Will, Mr. Pleasant TV, said, I love this. He said, this was bad, just bad. Thank you for watching it again so I don't have to. I love that comment. That yeah.
Thanks, Will.
Yeah, thanks. We're glad we could be of service to you, Will.
Yeah, that might be happening again and again in the future.
Yeah. And Surge again, SurgeNev 2000 says, there was a funny line from this bad episode that I give 4 out of 10 pitchforks, where Arturo sees Ms. Wells and says, nice to see you, Miss Wells. You look like a drowned cat. I laughed so hard, but overall I agree it was a bad episode. And then Pedro again, so he said this on Discord. I think he's saying this as a response to some of when I put the descriptions, the show notes, because I try to be a little funny with it. He said, the description is a bit harsh. It's ultimately no worse in quality than most season 3 episodes. The episode has good things like the Feldman family drama plotline, certainly especially the ending where they precisely show how much time is on the timer. How rare is it for Sliders to have done that? Which is true. They didn't do that as much in season 3, telling you exactly how long they're there for. But yeah, he Pedro. I've seen him on we've talked and stuff, and he tries to give season 3 a little more credit than a lot of people do. He's like, oh, it wasn't necessarily as bad as as like seasons 4 and 5 were, but hey, we can all agree to disagree. All right, so we're getting to the end. So our final thoughts and ratings. Do you have a silly object, Wayne, out of 10 for your rating?
I did. So maybe I did watch it with rose-colored glasses on, but I will say I gave it a 6 out of 10. Dirty glasses of water is what I gave it. I did have a lot of fun, but maybe it was in preparation and anticipation of doing the show is why I watched it with rose-colored glasses on. But 6 out of 10.
Oh, well, hey, it's hey, it everybody their mileage may vary with this show, so I'm
Which
glad
is
you enjoyed it, Wayne.
which is always fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, I will say there was a couple times my wife looked up and just gave a very sympathetic like, "Aw," and I'm not sure what that meant. I'm not sure what she was referring to, but yeah.
All right, Mike, I think we're going a little
Yeah,
down.
we're going downwards.
We're going
I don't know. Final thoughts. It was a an average episode, let's say, for Sliders,
Yeah.
comparatively.
Mhm.
So I'm giving it 5 foam rocks out of 10.
Nice. Yeah, I think my overall thing is, maybe it wasn't necessarily like the worst episode we've seen. It just kind of bored me. I was never into like I don't think I ever even really saw Mad Max. I mean, I know about Mad Max and Waterworld and all that stuff, but like, yeah, I guess it was just too like you said, Mike. It was just kind of too similar to the desert theme, and like we already got that before. Like so soon we're getting it again. It just was. I was watching it and was like, ugh, like when is this over? It didn't really like I wasn't really that enthused about the plot or whatever. So, give it 4 Lost Cities of Aquarius out of 10.
There you go. I will say a small thing that was refreshing for me, and maybe it has to do with just the fact that it's a tiny bit dated, but I struggle with watching Netflix, especially the Netflix original shows, where it feels like they have no costume department, and every outfit they have looks brand new, bought from Target, and that pulls me out of like anything I'm watching so quickly. So maybe it's just because an older production a little bit. It kind of was like, oh, it's like the yesteryear of television when things looked
Yeah.
worn and used and like they borrowed it from a prop department somewhere, on the studio set. And so that for me, I think maybe the rose colored glasses was actually a little more of nostalgia. Color glasses is maybe what helped my score a little bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was great having you, Wayne.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. I really like this a lot. Maybe we can do it again at some point. Maybe it'll be a better episode for us. I don't know, but I'm sure you would enjoy it. So
I
whatever we
listen. I'm not hard to please in the slightest. I just I'm a bit of a movie pass guy, and what I mean by that is I'll watch anything that somebody recommends. And so if I would not have watched this on my own accord, and so it was a lot of fun for me to be kind of tossed into it, and then go, yeah, I'm just gonna play along and talk about how I felt about it. So that was a lot of fun. I really appreciate you having me. Honestly, it was a ton of fun.
Oh yeah, great. So if you want to, so where can everybody find you, Wayne, with the podcast and personally or whatever?
Yeah, sure. So maybe don't look for me personally, but as far as as far as the show goes, as far as the show goes,
You know what I mean?
yeah, no, for sure, no bounty hunters, but no,
Right.
uh, the show is Florida Men on Florida Man, and we use the acronym to find us. So it's FMOFM.com, FMOFM podcast for all of our handles across the board.
Right.
But if you just Google Florida Man podcast, we'll come up as well.
Yeah.
And it's like I said, it's low hanging fruit. We talk about whatever is happening in the state. We record the week of. So we try to keep it as fresh as possible.
Yeah.
And we promise you that 90% of it is true. So that's the best we can. That's the best we can do. 90%.
All right, Mike. I guess take us out with what's coming up next.
Okay. So next episode up is Dragon Slide. We'll be returned. Sorry.
Dragon Slide.
Sweet name.
We
will be joined. Sorry.
I will say I think, even though I was like dreading it, I think that episode's actually going to be better than this one. Because there's no pretense. It's like we know what we're getting. We're getting dragons and magic and wizards and all that stuff. So it's like they're just going with it.
Well, when we get to Dragon Slide, we will be joined by 2 returning guests. We'll have Jan Fennick and Christina Gist back on the show.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing them again.
Yeah.
In the meantime, be sure to like and subscribe and smash that notification button there, the bell, ding-a-ling-ding. Share your opinions on the episode down below in the comments or on the Discord or on Reddit or on Facebook or send us an email. However you want to do it, let us know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
We will do a roundup of comments in future videos. In the meantime, you can also visit our website at fandomentanglement.com, where you can find all our past videos and links to our social media channels, such as YouTube, Facebook, Blue Sky, and Mastodon. So until next time, I'm Mike.
I'm Damon.
I'm Wayne.
Yeah.
All right. And we'll see you next time.
Keep on sliding, everybody.
And don't waste that water.
Right. All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.